Welcome back to Montana This Morning. You're looking at a gorgeous sunrise out there over Billings. It is 6:31 a.m. Miller's going to have some more details on a gorgeous weekend ahead. But first, joining us now live in studio, we've got Governor Greg Gianforte. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Augusta, thanks for having me in.
All right, so you're headed out to Lockwood schools today talking about some additional funding for teacher incentives. So talk a little bit about the programs that are, so it seems like, so some incentive, some like initial stipends for early career. Talk a little bit about those programs.
Yeah, so, all the kiddos are back in school, so we're focusing on education now and what we accomplished in the legislature. And today we're focusing on teachers because they're critical. We need more teachers in the classroom. We expanded our Teach Act, which back in 2021 increased average starting pay by about $3,500 for all teachers in the state. We had 500 teachers participate. We added more funds into that funding in this last legislative session. We also put $40 million into their insurance trust to make sure they're covered. And we expanded licensure so we can have more qualified people in the classroom. But this education policy is all focused on helping every child reach their full potential. We're focused on teachers today. We've also been working on helping students with workplace learning experiences. We now, as of this year, we require personal finance in civics for graduation from high school. And then for parents, we've expanded choice. So every parent can make the right decision for their child.
Okay, 2023 was a big legislative session, lots of different education programs passing, lots of debate on different policies that could have been put in place. Do you think on the teachers, on the kind of that first peg you talked about, for teachers, are we doing enough to incentivize young people entering the field? There's been a decline in the number of students entering traditional education programs like the 4-year credentialing program. So this year passing legislation to create alternative credentialing. Do you feel is that like the future of how we're going to have our teachers, or is this a solution to a present problem?
Well, it's both. Teaching is a calling. My mother was a public school teacher. My daughter is now a teacher in the classroom. And so I know how much dedication these teachers have, but we weren't paying them enough. When I came into office in Montana, we were 50th in the country in starting teacher pay. We were dead last. That's why we prioritized increasing starting teacher pay with the Teach Act. And expanding the credentialing to allow other qualified people who might have like real world experiences that might translate into effective teachers. We wanted to expand the pool. So there's still more to be done, but we're making good progress.
Okay, and kind of the next group of policies you talked about for students, you were in Helena, I believe, yesterday, talking about some, we had a brief story on it earlier this morning, but you were talking about some early childhood intervention literacy programs, which we've been talking a lot about on our show the past couple of weeks. We just had a big drive for free books. So tell me about this kind of targeted solution for early childhood literacy.
Yeah, so reading is really the keys that unlock all of education. And this is why early childhood literacy is so important. So in this last session, I signed into law a bill that provides a mechanism for schools to do early intervention even at pre-K, to get these kids who may not be getting what they need at home, the tools they need to acquire these things. It's also the First Lady's initiative to get books in the hands of every young person in the state. That's why we've had the Dolly Parton Imagination Library here in the state for some time, but what the First Lady did was make sure it was available to every child. She recruited people in every county, and then she went and raised $1 million privately to fund it. So now, if you have kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews that are 5 years of age or younger, go to imaginationlibrary.com and sign up, and your kiddo will get a book every month.
Free book every month.
Until they're 5 years old. And in states that have implemented this, when those kids get to kindergarten or first grade, they're already reading. And they're so much further down the road. So early childhood literacy has really been a priority for us.
Okay, very cool program there. And kind of the last body of legislation you mentioned for parent choice, which has kind of arrived to Montana. It's been a national push for years. A couple of bills passed there's the HB 562, creating community choice schools, which would be exempt from traditional public school rules, and then 549, the public charter program. So those kind of two bodies plus the tax credit thing. There were several things done, but talk a little bit about privatizing education in the state of Montana. Do you think that this will affect our public schools in a negative way?
Well, those two bills you mentioned are for public schools. These are public charter schools. So what I believe as a dad, and I think most parents know this, every child is different. They learn in different ways. And this is why a one-size-fits-all approach to education is not the most effective one. So we really moved the ball down the field this last legislative session by making public charter schools available as an option. This helps to match the learning styles of the individual students, and this is going to make education in the traditional, highly structured, top-down public schools better. It's also going to provide these options where kids might need to learn in a different way. That's why public charter schools is also part of our strategy.
Do you think that the community choice measure, which is being challenged right now by I think a group of educators and a law firm out of Helena, do you think that community choice charter schools, which as the law is written now, would be exempt from the local public board's influence? Do you, I guess, do you think that that type of program would deter money or take money away from the public school and kind of silo it to certain students, but not every student?
These community choice schools are public schools.
Funded by public tax dollars.
Correct. They're public schools funded by public tax dollars that helps the parents decide what's best for their kids. I think in the end of the day, parents know what's best for their kids, and we ought to provide a range of options that allow those parents to pick what's best for their kids. And that's what these public charter schools do.
Okay. Yeah. Governor Gianforte, thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the day out at Lockwood. They've got a beautiful campus out there. And happy birthday to Susan on Sunday.